Leaves us with 5 games left. Let's attack. 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Las Vegas Raiders 1-2, 1-1 on the road at Los Angeles Chargers 1-2, 0-1. We're at SoFi in Inglewood. There's my guy Mally Mal in the house. Talk about the line history here for this one, and we have this total at 47.5, where it opened at Pinnacle. I know other books opened it higher before the games had completed. From a point spread situation here, I was a little taken aback at how big the Chargers were favorites here. -6 at -104. It hasn't moved. I was a little surprised. This is not a complete football team in the Chargers, and Staley can't be trusted. 54% of tickets, 61% of cash on the under. And from a spread situation, you have 23% of tickets on the Raiders and 58% of cash. When I'm surprised at a line, I usually want to back the other side, but I don't want the Raiders, and I'm waiting for the Chargers to show out. I just don't know why their defense is so bad. Go over to, we just did the cash flow, so let's roll. Raiders coming off a disappointing 23-18 home loss to the Steelers for some inexplicable reason. Down 8 with 2 minutes and 22 seconds left. McDaniels decides to kick a field goal. And I despise Staley. The idea that a head coach in the NFL can't comprehend that situation is appalling. I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling, and
it makes you question things, because that's the most incompetent decision I've ever seen. If I was an owner, I'd fire his ass on the spot.
You'd have to. I mean, I would expect, and I was saying this last night, I would expect a 10-year-old to understand the situation mathematically.
Right.
And if a 10-year-old didn't, I'd be pretty disappointed in them. And I would explain it to them, and I would, so now we have an NFL head coach who can't understand the situation with 2:22 left in the game, down 8 points. Now, we were all rejoicing, drinking Kraken and laughing and cashing our under. So we had a lot of fun with it, but I'm still left completely gobsmacked that somebody could have this high-paying job and not be able to understand very simple mathematic situations. Jimmy G finished 28 of 44 for 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, and he's now in concussion protocol. We were calling him spaghetti legs. I can't believe he got up from that, what looked like we wouldn't see him again for the rest of the year. But it's the concussion issue that he's dealing with now. Devontae Adams caught 13 passes for 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jacoby Myers caught 7 for 85. That's a nasty one, too, Devontae and Jacoby, and especially Jacoby Myers now being the wide receiver, looking like the wide receiver that we kind of thought he would be in New England, which he was unable to do. Josh Jacobs ran 17 times for 62 yards, caught 3 passes for 18. The offense was just 4 of 13 on third down. The defense couldn't get enough pressure. Max Crosby had the squad's lone sack and 2 of their 5 quarterback hits. They let the weak Steelers offense go 6 of 15 on third down and put up 333 total yards. How many games are the Steelers going to put up 300 plus total yards this year? From what I've seen, I would say 3 or 4, but the Raiders let them do it. Curtis Bolton injured a knee, linebacker. I tried to get more information on it. I couldn't today. The Chargers coming off a much-needed 28-24 victory at Minnesota. As always, Brandon Staley did everything he could to cost the team the win. He went for it on 4th and 1 from their own 24 with 1 minute and 47 seconds remaining. That does a bunch of different things here. It also tells your defense that you have no trust in them whatsoever. He trusted a guy in Joshua Kelly who had 11 carries for 12 yards. Like, if you're going to make that decision, okay, well, what's your play? And his play is to give it to Josh Kelly, who's getting stomped on every time he has the ball. I mean, it's just mind-boggling, the ineptness of these two assholes on either side, McDaniels and Staley. Herbert was excellent once again, 40 of 47 for 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. Set the franchise record with 213 consecutive attempts without an interception. Second fastest NFL player to hit 15,000 passing yards. Mahomes got there in 49 games, took Herbert 52. Keenan Allen was an absolute monster, caught 18 passes for 215 yards, threw the 49-yard touchdown pass to Mike Williams on the trick play. Of course, we were waiting for this to happen. We know what's going to happen with these two wide receivers. Mike Williams caught 7 passes for 121 yards and touchdown and tears his ACL. Gone for the season. So Joshua Palmer, we've been talking about him for a long time. It's time for him to step the fuck up. Palmer caught 4 passes for 66 yards and a touchdown. He lost a fumble against the Vikings. This is a nice situation to be the number 2 when you got Keenan Allen getting all of the attention. The defense bent but didn't break. They still allowed 475 yards to the Vikings. Yes, they held them to 414 and third down and 1 to 4 in the red zone, but I can't figure out why they're so bad. They got pressure, 4 sacks, 13 quarterback hits. Kenneth Murray made the game-sealing interception. And Derwin James left the game. Eric Kendricks and Eckler both were inactive last week, and we're going to find out tomorrow how close they are. I was surprised to see the Chargers as this big of a favorite. I mean, I look, they have a lot of nice pieces, but and I don't like the Raiders or want anything to do with the Raiders, but I still was a little surprised. I guess the line is saying that the chance of Jimmy G being available is slim. I don't know. Take it away for us here. Raiders, Chargers, Troy.
I thought Staley would be fired after this game, even though they pulled it out, but haven't heard nothing. I mean, this guy, like you said, consistently puts his team in position to lose. The offense and defense did enough to win this game. The coaching tried to sell the game like they always do. It's frustrating to watch as a guy who's a believer in this Chargers team, who has backed the Chargers in the futures markets. It's really tough to watch. Taking the ball out of Herbert's hands on the last possession of the game for the Chargers was incredible to me. They ran the ball 3 out of the last 4 plays. Despite not being able to run the ball all game, they decided to beat the drum to the run and got shut the fuck down. But just taking the ball out of Herbert's hands, I just couldn't believe what I was watching. But this is a bad matchup for the Raiders. They can't pressure the quarterback. The secondary is overrated, and they're rated as one of the worst teams in the NFL at 22nd in coverage. Herbert should have his way with this team, but how can you trust the Chargers with this big a number? It's really tough to do it. But you do got McDaniels on the other side. You got the Staley McDaniel battle of the bums. I mean, it's like the Bears and the Broncos. You got McDaniel and Staley, 2 freaking clowns, man. It's hard to back either side from that standpoint. But Herbert, this guy's strong enough to make all the throws, ability to read defenses. His accuracy is just incredible to me. Whether it's a screen, a deep pass, over the whatever pattern you want to talk about, this guy puts it on the money consistently. I think Herbert's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. When I watch him, maybe I'm biased, but I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL outside of Tua. What Tua's doing is miraculous at this point. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But the Raiders, their offensive blocking rankings dropped off a cliff after this last game against the Steelers. So that speaks volumes to how good the Steelers are, pass rush and run, on the defensive line. Good run blocking, but no running game. 2.6 yards per carry, worse than the NFL. And that's just, to me, it tells me that and when I watch Josh Jacobs run, he looks like an uninspired running back. But would you want to play for this organization who doesn't value you, doesn't value your health? The coach, who's proven to be a clown, down 8, kicks a field goal under 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Yeah, we talked about that. This guy's a joke. Garoppolo, he's the kind of guy that'll fool you into thinking he's better than he is. But he makes bad decisions in the most critical parts of the game, and he continues to do it year after year. He had 10 poor passes, 3 interceptions last week, throwing it off his back foot. I would rather see Garoppolo win, in my opinion. I know that Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell, I don't think very highly of those 2 guys in the backups, but one guy's 37, one guy's a rookie. So either way, I think that makes me lean Chargers even more. This, to me, I have Chargers teaser as my pick in this game. I haven't moved on it yet. I have no action on it. I think I have time to make a decision, but you got 2 incompetent coaches and you got one team that is better at every single position in the Chargers over the Raiders. So I'm going to be looking towards the teaser with the Chargers.
I get the teaser for sure. For sure.
But yeah, you get it. But think about it. I mean, if I'm saying that I need to tease this, the spread's too big to back the Chargers on the spread. It's like, well, then the Raiders is the right spot, right? But I'm going back and forth, Jimmy. How the war wages in your head.
I do, and then it makes me think that the total is what should be messed with here, but I'm going to need to count on I certainly not going to do anything until I know who's at quarterback for the Raiders. But I think that the over would then probably be in play. So, but this is no move at this point. I have Herbert for MVP. So, obviously we're one hit away from Tua taking a few games off. Not that I would cheer for that, but that exists. You could say it exists for Herbert too, but I mean doesn't have the concussion issues. All right, let's roll on. Ron Crawford says too many points, division rivalry, and I get that. So let's roll on.